Welcome to the 20th episode of the Echo Sportscast, where we cover North Bay and area varsity, recreation, and club sports like nobody else.
Wow, that was a great intro. I'm Paul McLean.
And I'm Dave Dale. Our show today catches up on some NDA hockey. This is the actual exam week, so there wasn't any other sports. And I was at the game on Friday night. Got some good clips of the Bears beating the Ravens.
We'll also cover the Lakers women's hockey team in exciting varsity action last weekend in a shootout decision against U of T last Saturday. Plus, we'll set up the men's doubleheader this weekend against Waterloo.
In our spotlight interview, we learn more about the Canadore Dome and the local product who runs it, Graham Loyst. And as well, we do a bit of a promo for the looming registration for the North Bay Youth Ball Hockey League.
And in club sports, we've got video of the U18 AA Junior Lakers edging Caledon in a recent weekend matchup. Plus, we promo the U15 BB Junior Lakers, who are set to play Sudbury in an exhibition match at an outdoor rink in Bonfield this Sunday.
And we conclude with an interesting heritage moment, actually. Just hot off the press there, I got a message today, a podcast that we did with Dan Clement about his North Bay Rough Riders football jacket from the 50s. It may have found a home.
All that, plus my recent visit to Maple Leaf Gardens, and we'll chat a little bit about that and buildings. But first, a word from our title sponsor, Twigs.
North Bay Echo is proud to partner with Twigs Coffee Roasters, a part of the community since 1995. Twigs offers a wide selection of quality beans, fresh roasted in-house every day. Find your favorite specialty drinks at our espresso bar, rejuvenate with freshly squeezed juice, or treat yourself to mouth-watering selections from our gourmet deli. And don't forget our irresistible fresh baked goods, including uncompromising gluten-free options. Twigs has 5 locations to serve you, from North Bay to Sturgeon Falls to Sudbury. Order online for pickup at twigs.ca. And coming soon, you'll be able to order fresh roasted coffee beans direct to your doorstep from our distribution center in North Bay.
So I stuck around for Friday's game against the Bears, taking on the Ravens. Looking forward to some good NDA hockey, and it got a little chippy, it got a little funny out there. The refs, I don't think, were calling enough early, and as usual, when you try to tighten it up later, things get a little bit uglier because it's tit for tat.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit about that familiarity we were talking about when we interviewed with Grayson too, and just what it's like to be playing these guys again and again and again. So yeah, a little bit of hostility, and I'm sure some cooped up from snow days that are starting to happen, exams.
Yeah. Well, I saw Grayson go down with the ankle there in the game as well, and we were talking about that. He got back into the game later on. I don't know how he does that, but Bears won handily. They had a goalie standing on his head, and they were cashing in when they needed to. We had some good breakaways going both ways. Yep. It was actually some pretty good hockey.
Well, and again, it's great seeing it back on the big ice, and so they always get to shine when they're out there, and lots of room for everybody to work, and yeah, it's good to see.
I understand why Grayson likes the smaller ice there, especially if you got a hobbled ankle.
Yeah, not as far to go. Save you about 25 feet just getting from one end to the next. It's a big difference between those two barns.
Well, what we do have is the schedule for the rest of the hockey games going forward after the exam week here. And beginning tonight, the Algonquin and the Bears are scheduled for 9:30 at the Memorial Gardens, now called the Bort Longyear Memorial Gardens.
And then on Saturday, February 1st, we're going to have Chippewa playing Algonquin at 8 p.m. at Sam Jack's.
And on Wednesday, February 5th, 8 p.m., Sam Jack's, Algonquin and Chippewa have a rematch, trying to do some makeup games.
Yep. And then following week, Saturday, February 8th at 8:30 p.m., back at Memorial Gardens, Schollard will play Algonquin again.
And on Wednesday, February 12th at 8 p.m., Sam Jack's, Chippewa and Algonquin play again. Imagine that, 3 games shocking. In a row, and then we're going to start the playoffs.
Playoffs in a league filled with parity right now. We're looking, just kind of going over the standings there. Schollard in first place with 6 wins.
Seven now.
Seven. Game in hand, or I guess Chippewa's got games in hand with 5 wins, followed by Algonquin with 4. But still games. Algonquin's got some catching up to do. I'm going to assume that's from football, just a later start to the season.
There was a couple injuries that Algonquin suffered at some tournaments and couldn't play. I remember earlier.
Yeah, we were talking with Greg about that.
Things get pushed in snow days, right? And so it's all sort of piled up. But yeah, they're all within a few points. It looks like if they're going to have a quarterfinal, it looks on paper right now to be Chippewa against Algonquin, unless Chippewa goes for a tear.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they're able to pull off in the next couple weeks. Moving on from NDA hockey, we're going to now jump to the Lakers women and some exciting varsity hockey that went on last weekend.
Yeah, it was a shootout that I was at on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was a great game. It looked like it could have went either way.
Yeah. And I think maybe they're still struggling to get some of the rust off of posts, because they had a great win, 8-0 win on Friday night for the military appreciation game. Mm-hmm. And then, didn't quite
They needed a couple of goals for the next game.
Well, I can definitely attest to, from coaching and watching a lot of my daughter's hockey, goals do not seem to come quite as easily in the female game as they do in the boys game. So, anyways, that's something that they're going to work on, and they get set for this weekend too.
Yeah, so it was up in the stands. I got some good video of the game. It was pretty cool. I got LeBerge's goal.
Yeah,
and it was a nice one. They celebrated well.
Yeah,
and got some good saves on both sides. Lots of chances back and forth. Of course, when you got a shootout, that's the video you have, and it's really cool to see. I was a little surprised at the choices for the shootout for the Nipissing Lakers. I think that was probably something debated by the hockey aficionados afterwards.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent maybe of Nagano in '98. And again, when you win those things, no one questions your decisions. When you come up on the short end of it, how come you didn't use this girl, or maybe she was ready, or did she have the hot hand? And then an interesting thing in that format too, I don't know her name, but one of the U of T shooters actually went multiple times. So that reminded me of a wild thing, World Juniors years and years ago. So it was an international rule. And the U.S. just kept sending TJ Oshie to do it. And maybe I'm mixing that up with an Olympic, but I remember that and feel like Carey Price was in net for Canada. And it's interesting when some rules are, you have to use every shooter once before you can get to start reusing, and some are, just keep sending the same shooter again and again, which is a real battle as a goalie to think about that. Like you maybe have an idea of what somebody's going to come down and do, or you might know their moves, but if they've got to start pulling 3 or 4, then you don't know what they're going to go, and it gets for a lot of strategy. So.
Well, I wouldn't want to be too much of an armchair coach or question Darren's hockey knowledge and ability, but I would note that I'm not sure if everybody that got a penalty that game got to shoot, right? So sometimes it's a decision that's sort of like it's underlying something, right? And it gives somebody else a chance, and it could go either way. And big point, though. Big point between those two teams, because they're going to see each other in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, and that's Nipissing's first game against U of T this year, as far as I know. And that's a big rival that they have, and, somebody they keep coming up against. So, that's not the last time we'll see U of T, I think.
And sometimes when somebody's not chosen like they think they should, they're going to be trying to prove something, right?
For the next one,
there's a lot of psychology involved with coaching that is beyond my...
Yep. And sometimes you're just trying to find something. Like, I know last weekend I was on the bench with my daughter's team, and we had a penalty with a couple minutes to go. We're trying to tie the game up, and I just kind of jumped in front of the other coaches, pulled a little mix, switched kids who was going to take the face off to try to win it back. Play didn't go the way I wanted it to, but we scored. So anyways, any mistakes or whatever got washed away when that happened. So it's fun.
Well, I remember I was just a trainer for, I'm sure it was a Adam team. Right? Yeah. Adam House, really. We were in Temiskaming, and it's playoffs, right? Yeah. It's important to everybody.
Yeah.
I was working the defense stores, and we're killing penalties, so I figure we're putting out some defensemen.
Yeah.
And I guess the coach had another idea.
Yeah.
Too many men on the ice in overtime penalties.
Yeah, that hurts. That's tough to come back from.
There was some parents that were not too impressed with me.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy though. Those kids get to the door, especially at that age, and like they're standing there waiting. I'm like, no, you need to get off the ice or get out of the way, one of the two. But yeah, it's so. I mean, at the end of the, good for Nipissing to get the 3 points because they had the big win. Military Appreciation Night was on the night before, big 8-0 win over Carleton. So they continue to roll that way and look to see what happens this weekend. And then in men's hockey, I know the guys were down in Toronto last weekend and dropped 2 games with the U of T. So again, looking to get back in the win column when they go to Waterloo this weekend.
Well, they're playing Waterloo here, hosting them at the Port Longier Memorial Gardens. And they want to break a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah. Well, I think they're due, and I think maybe some good home cooking will be just what the doctor ordered, and we'll see how they can pull this off this weekend.
So tonight's game at 7 and Saturday's game at 4 for the Lakers men's team against Waterloo. So if you have a chance to go to Saturday's game, jump in your truck and head on over to the Port Longier Memorial Gardens.
Speaking of trucks, North Bay Toyota would like you to come in and ask about their amazing lease deals on their 2025 Tundra Double Cab, SR 4-wheel drive, or maybe you're an SUV lover. Take advantage of the limited shipments of 2025 RAV4s and discover the perfect blend of style, comfort, and efficiency in a compact SUV that ignites your desire to explore. It's time to Toyota at North Bay Toyota.
What I really liked about with our interview with Graham Loyst there is talking about the ball hockey, right? And how important that is. It serves a good purpose for hockey players and new to hockey players.
I know that like when Graham first came to me about reviving the league and talking, it was like impossible not to notice like the passion that's been instilled in it from his father and how important it is to ensure that everybody gets to play, and that is not just an extension of every hockey player's hockey season. You're getting people who get a first chance to play the game, and skating's not a hindrance to people being able to play. So it's really great, and he had a lot of great things to say.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good activity with a low bar, and a lot of people play it for many years after they get started because it works for them. Yeah,
and it's a lot of running, so it's good exercise.
It's pretty cool hearing a little bit more of Graham's athletic and academic pursuits, and it gives people an idea that the first thing you try might not work out. You keep trying to find out what fits, and then all of a sudden everything comes together like it did for him.
Yeah, and I think it's great to see. Like I still remember Graham was still finishing out his like midget hockey, I think, when around the time I came to town or when I first became aware of who he was. And now he's a guy I play hockey with. We do work with the Dome. So getting to see those people come into their own is really good. As a parent myself too, like, excited for whatever my kids want to do. And I hope that they can follow in, that type of path of finding something that they really enjoy.
Well, let's go do the interview right now.
With us today, we have Graham Loyst, currently the facilities supervisor of the Canadore Dome and president of the North Bay Ball Hockey Association, and former NDA athlete and all-star at large, I believe, too. Football, hockey, you got a whole resume. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you. I'm Dave Dale.
Oh, yeah, that's how this is supposed to go.
And you're Paul McLean.
And I'm Paul McLean. Yeah. So thanks for coming in, Graham. I've been really fortunate to be able to get a firsthand glimpse of the Dome and being in there with the kids with baseball. You're there every day. It looks amazing. You guys have done a great job. For the people that haven't been in yet or got a chance to see, just maybe share some of the exciting stuff you guys have going. And
yeah, it's incredible. I feel like every day it's evolving too with how we use it, how the public uses it. There's pretty much every sport you can imagine is in there. And it's great because, primarily it's an academic facility. So, we have programs that use the facility. students have access to it. And then a lot of times kind of evenings and weekends, the public's in there. And if you've ever even swing by on a weeknight or a weekend, and it's crazy. It's always busy, always bumping. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a great addition to North Bay. It's fantastic to have a facility that you can really put on a level with, everyone else. Like, you're not going to say like, oh, their dome's got this and it's better, or like to finally have indoor has been a great thing.
And I think like hats off to the people that were part of the planning process and stuff, because they didn't really leave any stone unturned. I know they did a lot of research. They looked into other similar facilities and what they offered. They tried to kind of make it the best of everything. So to have not just the dome with the field, the courts, the high performance area, but the auxiliary facilities, the change rooms, the showers, the lockers, the classroom.
Yeah.
So it like multi-purpose facility. Really hits the mark there when you're talking about what it can do.
Well, it's fantastic. So with summer programming, what maybe some people might have questions about what would you use the dome for in the summer when you can go outside, but I think you've got a lot of answers for that.
Well, we're working on answering that.
Yeah.
I know in terms of rentals from the public group, even I was a bit surprised with how much interest there's been with different groups who, you would think are traditionally outdoor sports.
Yep.
That are looking to use it in the summertime. And, it's great because you're never dealing with the elements. You don't have to worry about field conditions, that kind of thing. So you know what you got, which is, I think, a nice thing to have in your pocket as a programmer in the public. And we're still working on a lot of things because, everything's fresh still, right? We're still trying to get the dome finished in terms of furniture and the different amenities. But, we're looking at maybe doing some camps, that sort of thing in the summertime, but still very much a work in progress. There's nothing really to report on officially.
Yeah.
But definitely people can keep their eyes open because we're going to hopefully slowly start to roll some programming out for the summer as well.
Yeah.
What do you do for events when there's fans and stuff like that?
Great question. So it's tough, right? I would classify it more as a training facility.
Yeah.
Because there's not a ton of free space. And especially with the demand, we're really maximizing the usage of it. So, you could just picture there's the big field with 3 small fields going across. So you've got 6 teams playing, and then you've got the 2 courts that have 4 teams playing. You got a hockey team working out in the high performance area. So you got 11 teams in there. And with that, obviously, comes, parents, all the spectators, that kind of thing. So it gets pretty crowded. We're working on solutions. We've actually already ordered more bleachers. And we encourage people to bring their lawn chairs. A lot of people are standing, and, I guess you could say it's maybe not an optimal environment for a spectator sport, if you will. But I think people are making the best of it. So, tournaments, we try and do our best, not to have a volleyball tournament happening at the same time as a soccer tournament, because then we can kind of take the bleachers, rearrange it to maximize the viewing space. But again, it's a work in progress, right? We're only just getting through our first couple tournaments and seeing how people use the space and then adapting. We didn't want to order a bunch of stuff and then, we're never going to use that. What's the point of doing that? Yeah. So I think they're smart strategically having some things, seeing how the facility gets used, because it's all new to everybody in our community at least. So I think the kind of being patient approach, and we appreciate the patrons and the people using the facility being patient, because like I said, they've learned to bring their lawn chairs and they set up shop, and we'll slowly start to add and try and have some better options for people when it comes time to that. Like I don't know what we would see in terms of big events. Like,
well, I'm thinking about the World Bocce Ball Championship.
It would be a packed house. No, and I know we've had the Sudbury Cyclones in.
Right. Okay.
So you start to talk about teams like that. You garner some interest from the community and people that want to come see it. So we definitely want to offer something just to be comfortable for the fans. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that there's so much coming and going. You got to leave room for foot traffic and people moving around. So it's a bit of a puzzle.
Sports aren't just what we do, they're who we are. Source for Sports North Bay is your advocate, your local support system, and your biggest fan. 1321 Fisher Street has grown from a place where knowledgeable experts can help you find exactly the gear you need, to the hotbed of team uniforms, apparel and fanwear, to a community stronghold for all the things that truly matter to you and your family's sports journey. We love helping you find your first pair of skates, as much as we relish supporting local leagues, teams, and athletes. Wherever your sports journey takes you, make sure you visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street so we can help you along your way.
And for the full interview with Graham Loyst, go to our YouTube channel, North Bay Echo.
Moving on to the girls hockey with the junior Lakers. I mean, you've got some video, so it was.
I didn't
great
realize your daughter's on the team.
Yeah, number 89, Rory McLean. She's playing defense. Really excited to be a part of this team. Dave Dugas is the head coach and doing a great job with the girls. This is a tough age. This is a really they're playing some high-end teams all across Ontario, and when they go to tournaments, they've this level. We've seen some American teams that they've played, some teams from out west and Manitoba. They're having a year. They're I think of 12 and 19 and 5. So it's hard to find wins all the time, but they're you're really seeing the team play well together. I really enjoy watching the girls. They seem really supportive of each other. For my daughter too, there's a lot of girls she hadn't played with before. This team is a mix. There just really weren't enough girls able to try out even. So this team has a bit of a northern flair to it. We've got a girl billeting from Kappas Casing, and there are 4 girls that come down from the Liskeard, Kirkland Lake area, and one who comes up from Huntsville. So it really is a bit of a regional team, and that speaks to the level of hockey that it is. So, I mean, you see in the video here, it's the girls really move the puck, work hard, and great teammates for each other. So,
well, in the game that I saw, they beat Caledon. I thought it was going to be a blowout from the first period. I was watching really good hustle, lots of pressure. They look like they're like one of the top teams, right?
Yeah. I think it just really speaks to how far along the games come when you really watch it played at that level. And I mean, these are girls. There are some girls with aspirations to move on and play what's now called U22. That's kind of the girls' version of Junior A hockey in Ontario, and it's a very elite level. And those girls then will be hoping to make it to an OUA team or play university somewhere, maybe in the States. And obviously, the grand prize is trying to find a spot in the PWHL, but that's pretty difficult with only 6 teams and stuff. But it's great to see the development and where the girls are. And, I can still very easily remember a lot of those as little 4 and 5-year-old girls getting on the ice for the first time and wearing their pink helmets and, making snow angels sometimes. So to see them now, it's hard. They play, and it can be mean too. So I love watching it. It's great to see. So.
Well, I covered Darren's midget ice bolts teams when they were one of the top teams in the province, right?
Yep.
And the limited time I saw them play, I thought they were not that far off from the speed, the ability, and the cohesion that the team had. So they have something. Maybe they have a problem with the consistency.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, it's really just the amount of time and energy too that some of the teams they're playing. Mm-hmm. It's hard with busy lives that travel alone makes it difficult for them to always, you can't just have a practice every single night of the week because of the commitment that's happening from those other girls to be able to make it. But it's really good to see. And then now, we're going to talk about too the U15 double Bs, so girls that are going to hope to one day maybe aspire to be on this team and working hard for it. They've got an exhibition game in Corbeil, a little bit of a winter classic, which I think is amazing. Bonfield, sorry, yeah,
that's cool.
I think that's an amazing idea to do. I've seen some other teams do it. I think we should do more of them. Really, it's great experience for the kids and something we get to do here. So
Well, they got a rink with a cover over it, just like in Caledon, right? And good outreach for a small town like that, just east of Corby.
Corby.
Yeah. And I hope I got time on Sunday to go check them out. That'd be kind of cool. It makes for great video, of course.
Yeah, it does. There's nothing better than being outside and seeing the way the jerseys look in. I don't know, something about even like the gear when it's outdoors and not in the arena light always seems to look really good. And yeah, so great idea. So kudos to that team. I think that's Andre Purcell's coaching that team. So I'm not sure who put all of this together with Sudbury, but great idea and definitely something more teams might want to look into doing.
So our heritage moment actually just came in right at the last minute.
Yeah.
I got a message from Tracy Clement. She was the daughter of Dan Clement, who I interviewed about his 1950s era of playing with the North Bay Rough Riders football team.
Yeah.
And he has a 1956 jacket. He's been trying to donate somewhere where they're going to make a display out of it. And he was kind of thinking in somewhere Sports Hall of Fame. I know when we interviewed Tim Lowe, he said he'd be interested in it. I'm not sure if that ever sort of connection happened, but I told Tracy that I had some of the Back in the Bay magazines for sale at the museum if she wanted to pick them up. I had put a story in with Dan in the magazine.
Great looking jacket.
Yeah, and with his jacket. He looked great here in the studio. And while she was there, she ended up bumping into Naomi Hine, who's the curator. And she said, well, they'll put this display together for the jacket. They'd love to have it. So it's not all signed, sealed, and delivered. There's still some discussions going on, but I'm pretty sure this is a good moment because, gentleman's in his 90s, and he wants to make sure that a piece of North Bay's history is not lost. I think he's got the only original jacket left. Yeah. Right? So this is going to be kind of cool.
Well, it is. It's something now that I think a lot of kids probably take for granted how many jackets they get or how much apparel. But back then especially, I mean, even I remember wearing the same jacket for 2 or 3 years. It wasn't something you got new every year. Yeah. So yeah, that is amazing. And for it to be in the shape that it's really, really a nice little way to look back. It's like a time capsule.
For sure. So that's great to have, and we love to do all kinds of little heritage moment stuff like that. If you have an idea, email me at editor@northbayecho.ca and see if we can't put it into one of our shows.
And segueing into time capsules and old buildings or whatever, I was really lucky enough. Brooklyn had a game this weekend in Toronto. We were playing Toronto Leaside, and the game was held at Mattamy. I think it's the Mattamy Home Center is what it's called, but it is the old Maple Leaf Gardens. So Maple Leaf Gardens was sold to Loblaws, and Loblaws has now put a store in the old Maple Leaf Gardens. I don't know, and for some people that don't know, the Montreal Forum is like a movie theater in a mall. But they were able to keep the rink at the Gardens, or keep a rink. What they did was they built the grocery store, and then you take escalators up, and there's a whole like workout area, gym set up. Ryerson Athletics has all of their office space there. TMU now. Ryerson's changed the name. And then you go up one more floor, and that's the surface where the ice is. And they've got a 3,200 seat arena, I think, which is where the PWHL was last year for Toronto. They outgrew that in 1 year. I think they outgrew it really before they got there because they had sold so well. But anyways, we got a chance to play there, and the girls loved it. Show some pictures here that we took, but just an amazing experience and really cool. For me, I spent a lot of time going to the Gardens as a kid. I could still remember my first OHL game, watching the Marlies play on an afternoon, and then going to sit 5 rows from the wall up in the Grays. But I can even remember when people were still allowed to smoke there, I think, or it was new that you couldn't. It's just a really cool building, and neat to see how they were able to repurpose it and keep it alive in the city.
I got to cover one hockey game there, Maple Leafs. It was in the 90s, and probably 92 or something like that. And of course, I would just, any excuse to, there was a player that was with Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Contos.
Chris Contos.
Yes.
Okay. He's from Midland.
Yeah. I was covering Simcoe County.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I kept track of who was coming where just so I could get an excuse to go there. Invent some reason to be there. So I was actually sitting up there with his agent.
Okay.
And he's filling my ear with all kinds of gripes and whatnot because they were trying to negotiate a contract.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that they're not giving them choice hours right now, choice minutes, because they want this other guy to shine and they don't want him to shine going into the negotiations.
Yeah.
I'm just eating it all up thinking, ooh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I got some juicy gossip here. That's so funny you say Chris Kontos. So the story I know of Chris Kontos is that he had a couple, definitely like exploded on the scenes, was like a late signing for the Kings. They kind of picked him up on a playoff run. And the story that I had always heard, and I probably need to fact check this a little bit, was that this happened so fast and he was actually back home in Midland while he was signing this deal with LA. So they needed a fax machine to fax the contract and get it into the NHL or something in time for him to be eligible for the playoffs. And not a lot of people had fax machines in their homes in the late 80s, early 90s. And they had to go use the fax machine at Beaver Lumber to get his contract in time. And then I'm not sure what the stats are, but he scored a bunch of goals that playoff run. And he was kind of the sleeper pick if you had him in your playoff pool or whatever. A great story. And he just went on to have a career and played in Tampa for a bit too.
So I go down to the dressing room to interview the coach, Terry Crisp.
Yeah.
Right. Oh. And he's got a connection to Sudbury and Cape Royal.
Yes.
Right. So I'm in heaven there. And stupid me.
Bring up Chris Kontos' minutes.
I brought up the contract negotiations. And is it true that you're playing them different because of it? Whatnot? Yeah. And I learned some new swear words. Terry ripped me apart. And I'm trying to quote him, talking about I don't know anything. It's something about being stuck somewhere, and I think it was my head somewhere else, right? And I got ripped to shreds there, and I loved it. I was I was sweating. It was nervous. I couldn't hardly write the notes, and but it was like a badge of honor.
Yeah, wow, that is something. No, it
wasn't the first coach to rip me apart too.
It's it was definitely it felt like a different time back then. Like I don't know, I really loved going to the C games at that rink. And I actually was lucky enough to be at the very last event that was ever held. Was the Toronto Rock lacrosse team was playing Rochester. They ended up moving as well, like the Leafs, to the Air Canada Centre, but they'd stuck around for one more year, and they won a game in overtime. It was just an amazing. Friend of mine was playing in the OHL. His agent was Bobby Orr. He got us the tickets. We were like 3 rows up in the golds, which I had never sat in as a kid. So it's a lot of fun to be back there. And I don't know if any of it resonated with the girls playing this weekend. I don't know, but definitely cooler for the dads. And funny enough too, as we were leaving, there was a Wendell Clark, Doug Gilmore fundraising exhibition shinny game or something. So a couple of the coaches ran into Gilmore on the way up and got some pictures. So I missed. I was already trying to get my car moved because I didn't want to get another parking ticket down there. So.
Well, which reminds me, we just did an interview for our next spotlight for next Friday with George Ringler.
Yes.
And he had some great stories to tell us about hockey, a 5-generation hockey family, and a connection. He told us a little secret not too many people know.
Yeah, so tune in and check out that secret. It's it's a big hockey name, so it's a lot of fun. It was a great chat with George, so yeah, right on.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our 20th episode of the Echo Sportscast.
I'm Paul McLean.
And I'm Dave Dale. Please like, comment, share, anything you can. You can e-transfer if you want. I'll let you know about the email.
Love it. See you next time.